ICT himself said if you stick to this one strategy alone, you will become a profitable trader. Now, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know for this strategy, and I'm going to simplify it. So even if you're a beginner, you will understand how to trade the strategy by the end of the video. And I'm also going to give you some live market examples so you guys really understand how to trade the strategy and how to trade it in the correct way. And I'm going to give you every single rule that you need to follow. So all you need to do is watch this video till the end, and you will have a really good understanding of the strategy, and you can start applying it to the live market. And just before we start, we're on an amazing 8-day win streak in the signals room. We've made 19% in 8 days alone. So for every single day, for 8 days, we've been smashing take profits. As you can see, members also get access to my weekly market breakdowns every single week, and I'm going to be sending out one today. So make sure you join before the new trading week so you're well prepared for the trading week. So go ahead and join for $30 a month, literally $1 a day. We've been smashing take profits every single day for the past 8 days. We made 19% in just 8 days alone. Also, if you want access to hundreds of thousands of dollars, we will pass the funded challenge for you and get you funded, and you don't pay a single penny until after we pass the challenge for you. Yes, you heard that right. We will pass the challenge for you, get you on that live funded stage, and you don't pay a single penny until after we pass the challenge for you and you see the results yourself. Now, we have the fastest passes in the industry. We funded a $200,000 account in 2 minutes. The max funding allocation funded in 2 minutes for a client, and that client didn't pay a single penny until after we passed the funded challenge for them. And you also get access to the signals room for completely free once you get funded with the funded fast service, and once we get you on that live funded stage. And remember, you don't pay a single penny until after we pass. Now, if we fail the challenge for you for whatever reason, you get a full refund, what you paid us for the service and what you paid for the challenge. So you cannot go wrong. It's literally a zero risk investment, and it's a guaranteed funded account waiting for you. And so many of you gamble your funded challenges away and blow money when it comes to these funded challenges, but with us it's a guaranteed pass. So you save that money, you save that time, and you save that stress of failing your own funded challenge. With us it's a guaranteed pass, and I'll leave the link to this in the description below, so go ahead and join that if you haven't already. All you have to do is send a message to Funded Fast on Telegram to go ahead and secure yourself a spot. The link to the signals room and the Funded Fast service will both be in the description below, so go ahead and join that. And remember, my completely free community will also be in the description below. Let's get straight into the strategy. We're going to be using the power of 3 ATM machine. Now, what do I mean by this? Some people call this the ATM machine because you can keep withdrawing money and extracting money from the market following this one strategy alone. Now, we're going to be using the New York Killzone, which starts at 1 PM UK time, which is 8 AM New York time. And you can start looking for trades slightly before 1 PM UK time or slightly before 8 AM New York time. But ideally, I want to take trades from this point onwards when I'm following this strategy. Now, we're going to be using a 3-step method. We're going to look for a liquidity sweep, a tap into a PD array, and then essentially a lower time frame confirmation that the market will reverse from our area. But if you're confused, we're going to go into that in more detail in a second. You might have heard of AMD, which is basically the power of 3, where accumulation occurs in Asia session, manipulation occurs in London session, and then we get that distribution in London and New York. But this doesn't always happen. What could happen is that there's accumulation in Asia session and there's not much manipulation in London session. Instead, London session is adding to that accumulation, so more liquidity is being provided in the London session, and then New York has to do that manipulation and sweep that liquidity and then overall distribute in that same New York session. And that's what we're going to go into in this video. Now, first of all, the pairs it works best on is Euro USD and GBP USD for Forex pairs, and for indices it's NAS 100 and S&P 500 for the indices. Now, it does work on any pair on any market, but it works best on these pairs and these markets. The time frames we're going to be mainly using are the 15-minute, the 5-minute, and the 1-minute time frame. The 15-minute and 5-minute is going to give us an overall view, and then we're going to zoom into the 1-minute time frame to give us the confirmation in our specific areas, which I'm going to go into right now. So as you can see, this is going to be around Asia or London time right here. So this whole range, as you can see, the market wasn't doing much in this area. What was price doing? It was accumulating. What's the purpose of this accumulation, of this consolidation overall? As you can see, it's pretty much just going sideways right here. So as you can see, price made equal highs right here and price made equal lows right here. Now, what's the purpose of this? Retail stops are going to be below these equal lows, and retail stops are going to be above these equal highs. We see it as buy side liquidity resting above these highs and sell side liquidity resting below these lows. So essentially, there's a buildup of liquidity to the downside and there's a buildup of liquidity to the upside. And what we're interested in is the manipulation of this whole accumulation range right here. We're not interested in taking trades within this accumulation. We're interested in taking trades at the manipulation stage. Now, what is the manipulation stage? Well, this is the second stage of the AMD cycle. This is when price sweeps liquidity in one direction. Now, as you can see, price swept liquidity taking all that liquidity, resting below all of these equal lows right here. Now, following the 3-step method, we've got our sweep, and all we're looking for next is a tap into a PD array. Now, what do I mean by a PD array? Now, at this point, we're going to be on the 15-minute or the 5-minute time frame, looking for a tap into a PD array. Now, this means a premium discount array, essentially order blocks and fair value gap on the 15 or 5. Now, as you can see, we do have an order block here, and price has tapped into this area quite nicely on the 15 or 5-minute time frame. So essentially, all we're going to look for now is a confirmation on the lower time frame that price will reverse from this area, because we have seen the sweep. The question is, will we see price move up from here and reverse in the opposite direction, taking out that opposing liquidity that we found in that accumulation range? Because don't forget, price has swept all the sell side liquidity from all of these lows right here, but it's left the buy side liquidity untapped, so we could see these highs being taken out once price does tap into that PD array, and once we do get that confirmation overall, which I'm going to go into right now. What I like to look for on the 1-minute time frame is what I call a double liquidity sweep. So as you can see on the 15-minute time frame, price has already swept the liquidity from this area right here, and don't forget, this could be on the 15 or the 5-minute time frame, whichever one is clearer. But as you can see, price has swept one set of liquidity right here, and I like to see a double liquidity sweep. So as you can see on the 1-minute time frame, if we do see price run out this low, then I would call that a double liquidity sweep. But sometimes that doesn't happen, and what price does is it doesn't sweep that liquidity, but instead it makes a market structure shift. Now, everyone says they look for a market structure shift, but not everyone is looking for it correctly. We want to see a market structure shift with displacement. We want price to show a willingness that it wants to move to the upside. As you can see, price has done a market structure shift from this high right here, breaking that structure. You could call it a change of character, a shift in trend, whatever you want to call it, all essentially the same thing. But how do we catch an entry? Now, a lot of people say you have to wait for the extreme FVG, but ICT doesn't say you have to wait for the extreme FVG. In fact, you will miss a lot of trades if you wait for the extreme FVG only. Now, you can use it as a refinement for your trade setups, but essentially you want to be entering at the earliest fair value gap there is. So essentially, we look for an entry at the top of the fair value gap right here, place our stop loss below the overall low, and you can place it below the fair value gap low, but I'm going to go into this in more detail on the chart and the live market examples. And then you want to take profit at either a set risk to reward or the opposing liquidity. Now, I like to look for around a 1 to 2.5 risk to reward ratio with these trade setups. However, you can target the opposing liquidity, which you did spot in that accumulation stage, and again, what's resting above these equal highs, buy side liquidity. So now that you understand the strategy, let's get into the live market examples to show you these examples playing out on the live markets on a real chart. Okay, now as you can see, we're on the live market examples. I'm on GBP USD on the 15-minute time frame. Now, what we're going to be looking for is obvious liquidity, obvious lows and obvious highs that can be used as sell side and buy side liquidity. Now, what stands out to me straight away is, as you can see, these equal lows right here. We do have relatively equal lows right here. So what can we expect resting below this? Sell side liquidity. Now, price doesn't always have to be in a perfect range for you to spot liquidity. It's not always going to be in a perfect consolidation like this. No, sometimes you just see an old high or an old low, or obvious equal lows and obvious equal highs. Now, as you can see, price has swept this liquidity prior to our session right here. Has price tapped into a PD array on the 15-minute time frame? And if we just look left, price has tapped into this 15-minute fair value gap area with 1, 2, and 3 candles right here. So now we could look for confirmation on the lower time frame that price will actually reverse from this area, because we have seen that sweep on liquidity, and we have seen price tap into the 15-minute fair value gap area. Now, price has tapped into that area, we've had a move off, and as you can see, price has made that market structure shift from this low overall. Now, price has broken structure, and it's quite obvious it's with displacement. Every single candle has closed below this structural point right here. This is showing me displacement. This is showing me that price has swept the liquidity from here, but we can see a bigger move to the downside after this market structure shift overall. So now all we're waiting for is that fair value gap to form for us to find an entry off. As you can see, we have an earlier fair value gap, and we also have an extreme fair value gap. We're going to go for the earlier fair value gap. Like I said, I'm going to show you why the extreme fair value gap doesn't always work. Now, I'm just going to get rid of this line right here, and you're going to see how this trade plays out. And again, like I said, you can look for a set risk to reward ratio of around a 1 to 2.5 risk to reward ratio. But if you do have that overall opposing liquidity, which we did spot on the 15-minute time frame, there's no reason for you to not target that area. Now, this would give you around a 1 to 8 risk to reward ratio if you do take this trade. Now, let's go on to the 1-minute time frame, and let me show you the entry overall. Now, as you can see, price tapped into that area almost perfectly as our trading window opened. As you can see, price swerved that extreme fair value gap right here, but instead it tapped into our earlier fair value gap, which I told you to enter off at the start of the video. So this is why extreme fair value gaps don't always work, and this is why a lot of people are teaching it wrong when it comes to ICT and smart money trading. Again, you can use it as a refinement, but your bread and butter should be the earlier fair value gap. Now, as you can see, we're going to let price play on and let's see what price does. It absolutely smashes that take profit and sweeps that liquidity overall. What's price just done? It swept that sell side liquidity. Now, on the 5-minute time frame, can we see market structure? Not very clearly. On the 1-minute time frame, can we see market structure? But just before we do that, have we got a 15-minute PD array that price has tapped into? And if you look to the left, it's not the cleanest. Overall, we do have this order block area right here, but it's not the cleanest PD array. However, price has still swept liquidity, so if we get the valid confirmation, we can see a reversal in the opposite direction. Now, let's just see what price does overall. And as you can see, price has made a market structure shift, but the only fair value gap in this area would be this fair value gap right here. So this wouldn't be the ideal scenario, but if you were to take the trade, you would have to have a slightly bigger stop loss and then a slightly lower risk to reward ratio, and you could target this opposing liquidity such as this area right here for around a 1 to 2.3 risk to reward ratio. Now let's see what price does to this area. And as you can see, price smashes the take profit for around a 1 to 2.3 risk to reward ratio. But if we were to target that overall high that we did enter off in the first place, price did smash that take profit also for around a 1 to 3.5 risk to reward ratio, but I would be wary when you're taking trades later in the session. And don't forget, you don't pay a single penny until after we pass the funded challenge for you and until you see the results for yourself. So it's complete transparency at the Funded Fast service. As you can see, we've got loads of videos showing these brand new accounts that we're passing every single day. We literally fund our accounts in minutes. So go ahead, get funded at the Funded Fast service. The link to this will be in the description below. So go ahead, take advantage of the offer. We're going to be looking for obvious liquidity, equal highs and equal lows, or old highs and old lows mainly. They're going to be the main liquidity points that we look for. Now you can see relatively equal lows with these lows right here, so this is definitely going to be a liquidity pool. Now price has made an old high right here, and it's not the most obvious on the 15-minute time frame, so this is why I say you can even drop down to the 5-minute time frame. So as you can see, we do have this old high right here relatively equal with this high right here, so this is a liquidity pool right here. And what do we have directly above this area? We do have an order block, and we also have this fair value gap area which price can tap into once price sweeps that liquidity, possibly fills it in and taps into this order block right here. And as you can see, price perfectly fills in that FVG, and what did it do? It taps into that order block right here, and now we can look for that reversal and we can look for that confirmation on the 1-minute time frame overall. Now you can see on the 1-minute time frame, we do have a market structure shift low right here, but let's see what price does. Now, as you can see, we did have an additional liquidity sweep and price did break this market structure overall, but what did price do? It made a new market structure shift low, and price didn't sweep this high right here after this market structure shift low was created. Instead, price just broke it, and what do we have? We have a valid fair value gap with 1, 2, and 3 candles right here. So this is going to be a very valid setup. It's the earliest fair value gap, and we're just going to take the setup and place our stop loss above this high, and then simply we're going to target either a set risk to reward ratio of a 1 to 2.5, and as you can see, it perfectly aligns with this old low right here. But again, you can just mark out that opposing liquidity that you marked out on the 5 or the 15-minute time frame previously before our trading window opened, and that's going to be our take profit for around a 1 to 5 risk to reward ratio. As you can see, price perfectly fills in that fair value gap and perfectly smashes our take profit for a 1 to 5 risk to reward ratio, and this is just following the one system overall. And these trades that I showed you were literally consecutive days, so following this one strategy alone, you would have made over 10R in just 2 days of trading. So remember guys, don't overcomplicate the strategy. Stick to these set rules which I've given you on a plate, stick to these times and look for these obvious and clear setups, and you will become profitable over time. Now just a reminder, if you want to get funded 100% guaranteed and you don't pay a single penny until after we pass the funded challenge, until after you see the results for yourself, it's a guaranteed pass, and we have the fastest passing algorithm in the industry. We're literally funding 6-figure accounts in 2 minutes, absolutely insane speeds. And read the reviews on this group right here, the Funded Fast service group on Telegram. I'll leave the link in the description below. All you have to do is message at Funded Fast on Telegram to get funded 100% guaranteed, and we'll completely walk you through everything you need to know. And remember to use code ADZ5 for a discount on any challenge at novafunding.com. And remember guys, it's a complete 100% guaranteed pass, and if we fail for whatever reason, we've never ever failed before, but if we do for whatever reason, you get a full refund, what you paid us for the service and what you paid for the challenge, so you cannot go wrong. It's literally a guaranteed funded account waiting for you. Just look at how much proof, reviews and testimonials we have on this channel right here. A brand new challenge is being passed, a brand new client is being funded every single day at the Funded Fast service. Just go ahead and watch these for yourself. Any account size, a guaranteed pass, and we have the fastest passes in the industry. So go ahead and join right now. And don't forget, we're on an 8-day winning streak in the Signal Zoom. We've made 19% in 8 days alone. That's absolutely crazy. So go ahead and join for $1 a day, literally $30 a month. You cannot go wrong. So that's all for today's video, guys. Remember, backtest this, let me know how it goes in the comment section down below. Drop a like, comment and subscribe, and remember to share this video with a friend who's struggling with their trading strategy and struggling to pass their funded challenge. And that's all for today's video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.